Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of OfferVault TV's Earning Per Call Show. I'm your host, Bill Somerville, and founder of insurance pay-per-call network PolicyBind. Our guest today, no stranger to the industry. He's not only visible in the affiliate world, but also accessible to those that have a passion for learning, Mr. Anthony Sarandrea. How
What's
are
up,
you?
bro? Good, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Excited.
thanks for being on the show, man. Thanks for pulling over and chatting with us for a little
No
bit.
problem, bro. Should be fun.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Hey, I before I did this interview, man, when I mentioned that you were visible, I went to a bunch of other interviews and I checked it out and blown away at just how good of a guy you are to point people in the right direction. It seemed like that was a byproduct of a mentor that you had earlier that kind of pointed you in the right direction. I know myself, that's happened. I've had a couple of really good mentors. I just feel like, if you're gonna take, you have to give. So again, thanks for being on the show and
Of
thanks for
course.
just being good to the industry in general.
I appreciate that, brother. That means a lot. Yeah, I think to your point, it's like I get more out of giving back now than you do taking, because you get to see, other people come up. And I was telling you when we were talking on the phone, I was running an agency running around pleasing clients. I had no idea there was such thing as performance marketing. And one
Mhm.
day someone came along and was like, check this out. And my whole life changed overnight just from them opening their mouths. So I think it's way too of a closed mouth industry. People are too scarcity mindset. And I say that all the time on interviews in the space. And it's really fucked up because you and I get to jam, and I have a few buddies that are awesome. And, we bounce ideas off each other, and ultimately we both grow. There's massive industries in the performance marketing space, as you and I both know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that can be done with collaboration, and we're on the same team, not on not competition.
Right on, man. Uh, that kind of brings me into my first thing, like your mindset in general. I know it's something that was talked about on um, a couple other shows that you had been on. I'm curious, man. Morning routine. It's always something that's been big for me. You were on the Purple Show with James Van Elswyck. You talked a little bit about your morning routine. Has your morning routine really changed at all? I mean, you get up, you take care of your health. You don't touch the cell phone for I guess you said 30 or 45 minutes. Has anything changed, especially with COVID happening? Like, has that altered your morning routine, or have you kind of like kept that in place?
For sure, yeah. I'll share something personal too. I had about 3 weeks ago, I had my first, call it a panic attack, and I never had that in my entire life. Business going great, relationship, everything. I go get my blood levels checked. Actually, the week before that, my cortisol levels are to the moon, and I'm very healthy. I in my opinion, I eat right, I work out right, I do great things. But one thing I wasn't doing was, this sounds silly, but I was drinking so much water before I went to bed. I was getting up 3 or 4 times throughout the night. I was only sleeping, 6, 7 hours here and there, but they weren't solid. So the number one thing that I've implemented over the last few weeks and in general, and it's kind of like duh to me now, but maybe it's not for some people listening, was actually my nighttime routine. So I started a couple things. One was, I'm so go, 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 go high energy, and a lot of people are, especially if you're staring at a screen all day long, and then we're isolated on the computers and shit like that. It's like, it's so important for me to think about like landing a plane. Like, I'm just in the air and I was just dropping. And then, I was doing good in the morning, kind of taking off, but I would just drop at night, where now I'm trying to land the plane a little bit better. So not drinking as much water, probably 2 hours, 3 hours before I go to bed. Staying away from technology now. I'm trying to do an hour before I go to sleep. I'm journaling, I'm reading, and a lot of this sounds like hippie-ish voodoo kind of shit, but dude, it took a fucking kick in the nuts for me to be like, shit, dude, like, the piece missing for me was like where I'm unconscious, the 10 p.m. till 8 a.m. really, which is like, no shit, sleep is so important for you, things like that, and getting the right quality of sleep and things like that. So, I'd say that's been the biggest, transparent change or thing I've been watching with my routine and my overall health
Mm-hmm.
over the last few weeks, and it's made a world of difference. And I know it's going to continue to. It's going to compound, because I've been going for years where I'm working right up till 1 a.m., lay the head down. And even though I'm sleeping, I'm not in a deep sleep and I'm not in a restful state. I'm still thinking about work and moving, and the recovery is not happening. And clearly, even though I might wear stress well, so I'm not yelling or mad or arguing with people, like, doesn't mean chemically it's not still building inside of you. So I encourage everyone that's listening right now, go get your vitals checked, blood work, cortisol, really focus on that sleep and nighttime routine. I've noticed a world of difference in my life, and I'm sure you will too.
That's awesome, man. And I actually, so I'm a big Tim Ferriss fan, and he's got this nightly routine that he does that's really nice, that maybe I've taken to an extreme. He does the bath, right? So like like I'll go into my wife's bathroom. I don't have a tub in my bathroom, and I like draw draw a bath. I put like lavender Epsom salts in it. I light a candle. I put on like Spotify spa music. I just get in there and soak, and it's all good until like the door like opens up a little bit. My wife peeks her head in. She's like, "What are you doing in here? Like, are you serious? What's going on here?" And I'm like, trying to relax, woman.
I love that.
It's good, and I've even had I do a lot of, you mentioned meditation on some of your some interviews that you've done, and I have a business coach that I sit with once a week, and he's like he looks like Steven Seagal, right? And he's into Indian Indian medicine and Indian meditations. Sure. And he has this thing. He's like, when you take the tub, what I want you to do is like when you pull the plug, I want you to take everything, like if there's guilt, fear, shame, anything that has touched you throughout the day, I want you to see it come off of you like this black soot and go down the drain, and like visualize that.
Visualization. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we can go down that hippie road real deep, man.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I love it. That's bad.
I'm waiting for this guy to start beating a drum and like burning incense. It hasn't hit that point yet, or the peace pipe, but we're doing it via Zoom right now. Who knows what happens when we meet in person?
Bro, be touching and shit. I'm just kidding.
So social distancing, like as a whole, like has it affected your routines, like not even your morning, but just like anything during your day, like your life at all? Like, have you seen it have any effect?
It definitely did. If we talked maybe a month or two ago, about a month ago, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to start traveling again, which I did. Go down to Tulum, Mexico, things like that, California and stuff. Going to coffee shops, hanging out. So still getting that close touch with the guys or the team or whatever that is too, and just other people. Gyms was the hardest thing out here, I'd say, for sure. For myself, gyms being shut down. Now you got to wear a mask the entire time, which is whatever. But, you're doing cardio and you're it's like it's a bit of a pain in the ass, but I really believe anytime there's a shakeup in your world, or in this case everybody's world, there's just so much opportunity for growth. And it's like the scariest time for myself is when I feel good, like when I'm in like a coasting zone where I'm like, shit, life's like actually in a really good spot. That's scary because it means someone else is probably growing and I'm getting content at that point. So times like this, I fucking welcome to the moon. When anytime you got to wear a mask, okay, cool. You know what? I'm gonna frame that as it's gonna help me, get better cardio because I'm limiting my breath. Whatever it is, and it's silly little games with yourself, shit like that. But I think it's so easy right now, rightfully so, for a lot of people to get down in the dumps. This shit's fucking me up here, and yeah, it sucks here, and yeah, it affected me here. Like, don't let it. There's two sides to every coin, dude. We're talking about going to the gym. For half the world, that's the worst fucking thing on the planet, going to the gym. They're like, I'm tired, it hurts, it makes me sore. Why would I ever do that? For the other half of the world, like myself, and probably you, I'm like, dude, that's my lifeblood. I got to get in there and pump some shit in order to feel alive. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing, but you and I are just framing it differently than someone else. I'm not saying they're doing it bad or good or anything, but for me, like anything that's coming up bad like that, like it's an opportunity to frame it in the right direction and fucking run it to the moon. And dude, I for myself at least, I see so much value out of doing shit like that. Like even if something's the worst thing ever, it's the best thing ever at the same time on the other side of the coin.
Perception, definitely. Yeah, I've been bulking right now. If you want to, I've been putting on a little bit of weight for to put more muscle on, eventually. Even though we decked out a room in the house with like, we got to put a squat rack in there and everything. So we have the gym. It's funny. I've been like having friends over because the house purchase was new. And we were talking before the interview. People come in, they're like, "Oh man, you got the gym equipment in here." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really go in this room too much, man, but like, it's there to shame me, for whenever." And then just side note, man, when we were talking in the beginning of the interview, I just want to let you know that a Fireball truck went behind your car, the whiskey.
Oh shit!
That was awesome.
That's the cover photo. Throw a fireball right there.
We're definitely going to use that as like the still for this show. It's
Fireball
just
truck in
like
the back.
the Fireball logo out of like your over your left
Incredible.
shoulder in your car. Yeah,
Incredible.
that'd be a good shot.
That's funny.
Um, Gathering inspiration, man. I'm always curious. So a guy like you that has so much like giddy up and go, like where do you draw it from, man?
Oh man, I think I listened to this guy. It was actually a pickup artist picking up girls like 7-8 years ago, and he had this like thing where he said, the guy that makes $100,000 is comparing himself to the guy that makes a million, the million to 10 million, the 10 million to 100, the 100 to a billion, billion to old money, and it's just like that never stops. That continuous cycle when you're looking for, I think, outward inspiration.
Yeah,
And I'm a big Tony Robbins guy, where he says growth equals happiness, and really my inspiration is, I think, Evergreen, because I'm competing with myself, and I'm trying to beat out myself yesterday in a really I think healthy, growth, inspirational way. So that doesn't mean I don't look at people that are doing fucking great numbers or doing great philanthropic stuff or in great shape and be like, damn, that's cool. But the problem for me, at least, is the comparison set in. So I'm like, I'm not there. Fuck, what am I doing wrong? And it's so funny, even when it's so off. Like, I'm in my late 20s and there'll be a guy who's fucking 60. And I'm like, how the fuck am I not at the same level as that guy? And it's like, well, he's lived double your fucking age, idiot. And it's like, but your mind doesn't work that way all the time. You want to point out the bad, but you don't want to point out the other lying, variables that play into that same comparison. So for myself, it sounds kind of funny, but like the inspiration is like, what did I do today well that I fucking loved? What could I have done better? And then let's circle that tomorrow. And like, I'm up and I'm like, that's what I'm gonna fucking do today. I didn't meditate last night. Like, part of that nightly routine, I didn't do that. So tonight, you better bet your fucking ass that's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And that's my inspiration for the day. I'm waiting for that moment. Not that I'm, not being present throughout the rest of the day, but I'm like, I'm gonna knock that because I wrote that down. That's what I didn't do too well yesterday. So I think it just becomes a lot more internal evergreen, because you can always look for, like, I remember I'd look at a mentor and then I'm wealthier than them now. And I'm like, that's kind of depressing. Who the fuck do I look for now? You know what I mean? And then just, and like I said, whether it's the comparison or whether you eventually hit that finish line, there is no finish line. I think when you make it a game of growth with yourself.
yeah, yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Let's talk about some pay-per-call stuff, man. What verticals are you working on currently? Like, where's a lot of your sweat going into?
We've done a lot actually in the insurances, especially as of really the last like 12 months or so. And I think a lot of it is just the pure size of those spaces. So we've started in some other spaces that don't maybe have as much scale, but they're more niche and exciting and stuff like that.
Sure.
But the insurances, as you know better than anyone, is there's just such scalability there. So many big partners, players, pin each other against, not in a negative or bad way, but to be able to say, okay, I know, you can truly focus, I think, on having a superior product, because now you've got a bunch of people trying to grab at it, where before, we make a great product and there'd be like, one player in the space or something like that, one major player that didn't necessarily have, you were tapped out by scale, or they've got other partners coming in, or they're the only one and they're like, fuck you, you're going to do what I say. Otherwise, don't send leads in this space. You know what I mean? So the insurance has been a really big deal for us. I'd say also, and this will probably get into some other stuff we'll talk about, but I love spaces where I can go into a coffee shop and 8 out of 10 people in there, ears would perk up if I said it, right? So like, point being is like, let's take like a reverse mortgage. Like, it's a very niche product, right? There's really only a couple big players in that space. This is just a silly example. And they got to be over a certain age. They got to own a house with X, Y, Z, loan to value, equity. So I can walk into a coffee shop. I'm lucky if I get one, right? Like, auto insurance. Anyone want to save money on auto insurance in here? I can get 8 out of 10 perk ups. And that's exciting for me on a mass scale, especially when I start looking at, a lot of the platforms we operate on, social, YouTube, display, things like that, native, things like that, where really I'm in the game of, obviously targeting is great and all that stuff, but even if I miss and I suck, 8 out of 10 people are going to be actually like turn and look at what the fuck I have to say. They're not already DQ'd, disqualified by age or where they are in life or how much debt they have or whatever that could be. So that's also why we've really put our teeth in those spaces a lot more than we ever have.
Okay. That's that's interesting. So yeah, I mean, insurance definitely evergreen. Love the fact that in some states it's the law to have it. I'm always a big fan of like that someone's going to force you to do something. I remember back in 2014, working for Data Lot, right? Like what happened when Obamacare lifted off. Just like seeing like numbers go from good numbers to just like, oh my God, this is mandatory. There's a tax penalty. You got to do it, and then, when people have inquiries, where do they go? Like, they're going to Google, they're going to Bing, they're going to Yahoo, they're going to Facebook to figure this stuff out just because that barrier is so small. It's just, hey, all I got to do is just take this computer out of my pocket and ask a dumb question.
Yep.
And they're into it. When the insurance vertical, for instance, I know that once you work with somebody once or you've taken a consumer down one path, it might be easier to take them down other paths. Do you find that the insurance vertical has like cross-dimensional legs into other verticals?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to think where that user is at that time too, right? Like if it's a auto insurance, okay, do they want to save money on their home insurance as well too? Like there's a lot of crossover. It could be, do they want to repair their credit? Like clearly they care about their finances. Like could be fucking, anything along that realm of really consumer wanting to save or make money in a lot of ways is really when you're talking in the finance and insurance spaces. And in my opinion, and I already know where the question's going on the path because we talked before, like cross monetization, especially in pay-per-call, is difficult if not done correctly. And it's not the same as a form. A form, all of a sudden I can hoard that out, sell it 50 times, or can ask the person to checkbox, what the hell else they want to talk about or do. But especially if it's an inbound call, to click to call or something like that, it's much more difficult to or perceivably much more difficult to cross monetize someone. So some things we have that are compliant are, we have call centers overseas that manually dial back on people. So, you talk about TCPA, if you're auto dialing, you're texting, no good. If you've got a manual dial back, it's okay. So now you've got really cheap labor overseas, and it really becomes like the same thing as if you're looking in your Facebook dashboard, how much did I spend on these guys? How much revenue did they produce? So they're calling back everybody who talked to an auto insurance rep for under, 10 minutes. And they're saying, hey, you can also save on home insurance. Something you want to talk about, boom, move them right over to that offer. Same thing too. So it's still a high quality person. They're not getting blasted. It's compliant, exciting, awesome. Another thing is too, retargeting those people. So anybody who clicked the click to call button or anybody actually made a call, now you bucket those over. It's a really prime audience for, again, we'll just take home insurance at this point or something like that, trying to switch and save on something like that. Now you've got a really prime audience that you can hit, again, from the same or a similar brand or similar type messaging that already worked and already opted in to call in to learn money about saving money on their insurances. Like those are some of the cheapest and highest quality, cost per leads we can drive, or phone calls, doing things like that. So, and then on top of that too, you could talk from everything from landing page experience as well too, where they can self-select.
Sure.
So, my goal or dream is always, do you want to save money? Bill, and you get there and you can self-select which one's best for you. And then by the way, afterwards, in the footer or somewhere like you pointed out, you can cross, pollinate yourself. So after the call, there's options, where, hey, we also want to learn to save money over here, boom, boom, boom. And I think that comes back to trying to drive the highest quality lead, right? So I don't want to shove a round peg into a square hole. So just because you came through an auto insurance path, if there's a chance that it's actually better suited for you to talk to health insurance or talk to fucking whatever, I don't know, making shit up at this point, I want you to actually go there. Because if that's where you, Bill, who landed on the page, actually has a better interest for, even though you maybe came in through an auto insurance ad, you're going to be a much higher quality customer for me to send to the end buyer or end partner. And really it sounds funny. Like, I hate people in the space that are like, well, our cost per call is this or this. I'm like, well, all that really matters is at the beginning, the buyer's CPA, right? So if they say they can afford $500 to enroll an auto insurance policy, whatever it is, like, and I'm hitting $200 in auto insurance policy, there's margin in there. So why, like, that's the biggest thing in the space that always fucks with my head, or I don't understand, is when people don't understand that. And it could be networks, could be anything, where they're like, well, we've got a $35 on a 60-second buffer. And it's like, well, I'm telling you my CPA is this, and I'm getting paid $60 a call, and I'm hitting these CPAs. The metrics should work for everyone. It's just a conversation between the end buyer and here. So ideally, in a perfect world, myself as a publisher, I want to get as premium of callers possible, so I have as much money per call, not so I can be a filthy pig, but so that I can work so much harder to drive a better customer. Because if I'm shoved into this, $35 on a 60-second, I'm just using silly numbers at this point, I can't afford to educate someone to actually be a fucking grade A premium caller. I got to shove someone in there at that price, which means I might need to be a little vague with what they're calling for. I might need to overpromise a little bit, where now the salesman's job isn't a good job. I might need to just rush them on the phone for things, versus if I can really educate someone and it costs me $55 to drive that call, I got to get paid $60 to be able to do that. And it's really a win for everyone. They're more efficient for the call centers, the people you're selling to. Their CPA is better. You're now a premium person, so you're more up in their queue, versus sending them 10,000 calls to drive 100 sales. You want to send them 1,000 calls to drive 100 sales. So just understanding that from A to Z, not just the guy writing ads and doing ads. And that's a message out to networks. It's a message out to end buyers. It's a message out to publishers, things like that. Like, that thought process is something that I'm not seeing enough in the space, in my opinion. It's everybody like, here's my offer, I put it up on the wall, you want it or not? Like, to be able to have a flexible conversation around that, and then really got to follow through as a publisher, because the worst thing that kills the entire thing is if I come to you and I say, dude, you got to give me 60. I know you're giving everyone else 35, but I'm already hitting these CPAs, or it gives me blank, blank, blank. And then my shit is terrible or shitty. You get turned off, and then you're like, fuck this guy. He was trying to go get a steak dinner. So it's really important, I think, relationships in the space too, to be able to have that trust and have that understanding, and then really to go to bat with the advertisers and to help them understand really the end goal is to be more efficient and send Mercedes-Benz callers all day long, not, a Toyota Camry, or something like that,
True. No, that makes sense. You were talking about, I thought it was really interesting, at the end of your call, like prior to transfer, if you're having a call center representative speak to the consumer to warm up that data into a call, like, hey, I've heard call centers ask questions like, is it okay if we call you back in 15 days or 30 days to see if the quote stuck, or if we can do better, or send you an SMS. Are you also interested in bundling your auto and home? Are you also interested in hearing more about the open annual enrollment period? Sure. You're 66 or 67 years old. Is that the main thing that you do to how do I put this, to like track like that consumer and move like them along this journey? Or do you have like, is there software out there, or did you design your own software, or like yeah, how do you track a consumer, man, besides putting a bug on them?
For sure. I'd say a couple things. One is, so our flow actually does not go to our call center first. So it goes directly to a Geico. And then after, I'm engaging with the person after. So, okay. But you can absolutely do it in between too. So what you just mentioned is beautiful. And I'll talk through the tracking as well too, as best as we can. It's not perfect, short answer. But the thing that's interesting that I think you just brought up was, most people would be like, why the hell would I give this person a heads up? I'm going to text them. I'm just going to fucking blow up their phone for 30 days straight until they change their phone number. And I think that's the mentality a lot of us have got in. But again, there's so much waste and minutia along that process. And again, it puts you into being a Toyota Camry. Not there's anything wrong with Toyota Camry versus a Mercedes-Benz. And I think if you really put your eyes set on what actually makes this wheel go round the best, it's really what's best for you to make the most money, and really the advertiser to make the most money, and network in between and all that stuff too, or whatever. But point being is like actually asking, hey Bill, there's this thing, open enrollment. Are you interested if I send you information on that, or we call you back right after this call? Like, would that be helpful to you? You could save a couple $100, have the coverage, peace of mind for your family. like Bill saying yes, 1 out of 5 saying yes, in my opinion, is better than not asking, shooting it up to 5, because even if you still get a 1 out of 5 hit rate that pick it up, you're such a more qualified and excited consumer to go back to the brand and now trust your brand. And even if it's a fucking random Facebook page named fucking finance fucking treehelper.com, who gives a fuck? Like that's a brand actually to that person. You might just look at yourself as a little Facebook page, little bullshit fucking running a couple $100 a day, but you're actually a brand. And when you actually treat that person like a customer, there's actually a lot of organic searches around your brand. There actually is a lot of return visitors to your website. And you start realizing like, oh shit, this is a real operation here. I'm not just shoving Facebook calls through people or fucking Snapchat calls through people. Like, you start to get that spillover. So the trackability for me, to your point, is I don't have metrics dialed. I'd be lying if I said dialed in enough to say Bill called and was worth $400 to me, where he was initially transferred at 60. I don't have that dialed in. What I am looking at though is organic search, referral traffic coming in, what percentage of that of our overflow, return visitors, what's the percent of return visitors to our websites. Those are important metrics to look at. I'm looking at, we use Ringba, but I'm sure a lot of softwares for call tracking. I can see Bill, which campaigns he actually went through. So I can actually see that you came in through auto insurance, but you also talked to someone for health insurance. Then you actually also talked to someone to repair your credit. Like, I can see just based on your phone number that you got moved a few times there. And that's exciting when you can pull reports on like people that have come through multiple campaigns, and you can run reports like that and filter and things like that. You can see, holy shit, last month we had 800 callers that went through multiple campaigns, AKA multiple offers. And then you can really start doing some pro formas around, okay, if they talked over this, I know they were worth this, boom, 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 bake that into overall, what the initial, you can pay per cost per lead, things like that. So I don't have a perfect A to Z where Bill gets put if I had the call center at the front end, like you mentioned, you could absolutely do that. You could absolutely put that in. I can have Bill, give me your name, email, phone, got it, boom, I'm going to transfer you here. Are you also interested here, here, here? Boom, and then we can track you all the way through to see where you actually ended up as a billable, things like that, because I've talked to you before. But in my case, where I've got people on the back end, or even if I didn't have people on the back, forget the call center thing, because that's probably scary to a lot of people too. Even I'm just sending direct calls to Geico, just them being treated properly, and having the right messaging and actually getting the help they need. What's the return percentage rate? Do I have multiple offers on my website in a really like Lending Tree way? Lending Tree is a great example. Do I look like Lending Tree in a lot of ways where I can move someone 10 different places? Those are all important things to look at, I think, as far as, that trackability on doing all this stuff.
Yeah. Well, you just answered a whole lot of questions that I was going to ask you all on chat. Talk to me about your first pay-per-call campaign, man. What did that look like? Was it in debt space?
It was in the debt space, okay. and it was funny. We didn't even have a website, and we just we literally ran lead ads, and it gets back to that idea around like every time anybody says something sucks, like I'm like, cool, you're not spending time there. Like, it's like one of my favorite buddies growing up, and I was younger, he was much older, and he's one of the biggest realtors. We were talking about Scottsdale real estate being just fucking through the moon right now. He's one of the biggest. His name's Brian North, actually. Give him a little shout out. One of the biggest realtors out here. And he said, realtors said open houses suck. So he was like, I'm gonna have the fucking best open houses ever, because people weren't doing them, or they didn't like them. Obviously, COVID's a little different now, but he started throwing banger parties. He'd have fucking sickest catering. He'd have hot chicks walking around everywhere. And this motherfucker would move volume doing that. So I really I was like, this is cool. I remember when people were like, lead ads suck, low quality shit. I was like, how do we get that shit to work? Like, clearly people are ignoring it, or they don't like it, or they think it sucks. So really it was lead ads through a drips, through like a drip system or a teledrips or something like that. Warming up. Again, though, that focus on a premium person. So they weren't getting shoved through some shit. And they might have multiple marketing touches. It was a more expensive lead at first, which means I had to be a better sales guy to the end buyer and be like, yo, I got really good shit, even though at the time, like, I didn't know if I did. I just felt like I did, because I was putting people more through the ringer than anybody else. Sure. And then the messaging was like, here's how it works, here's what it does, type of stuff, like as if you're, bidding on Google where somebody already knows what like a debt settlement is or something like that, or whatever the product is, like I really took that education component to the next level, because I just had this idea that and maybe it came from because I used to be an outside sales guy. I used to fucking door knock and cold call for solar shit. Like, I understood that, like, if you could get me a lead source that 1 out of 5 people, just use round numbers again, enrolled. Like, that was a fucking juice of a gold source. And I think, you know, people who maybe don't come from that sales background, who are doing pay per call or internet marketing, they don't have that mentality because they get told, yeah, here's what I can pay you per lead, and here's what it is. Like, my first question is, what's your tolerable CPA? Meaning, what can you enroll a new customer at? Actually, not bullshit, actually. And then my job all day long is to find partners that actually have a higher tolerable CPA by however they monetize or whatever they do, because I now have a higher benchmark or ceiling that I need to hit below. And again, so the first campaign was really educationally focused. There was even no website, really. It was just education on the ad and education through the text message and auto dialing that came through. That was, you know, TCPA compliant, because they opted in at that point. And really, it turned into a transfer through the automated system. And it was cool. You know, set out an ad, made fucking, you know, I always tell a story. Spent 50, made 75. I was like, my fucking lunch is paid for. I'm fucking rich and on to something here. And you know, and just grew and grabbed legs from there. You know, now we're, you know, 5, 6, 7 years past that. But it was like, at the time, it was fucking magical to make $25 in the background. I was like, my fucking lunch is paid for. I fucking made it.
I would change out a $50 bill for a $75 bill all day. I would just how long can I sit here and do this for? Like, when is this gonna stop?
I remember I just refreshed, and I have 2 calls like in the day, or 3 calls the first day, and I was like, this is the coolest shit, bro. Just working on the back. And it was really funny because, you know, I'd worked with clients, or I'd worked online for a while before that, but for some reason this felt a little different, because I was like, people are actually calling in. And that's the funny thing about this space too, is like, when I first got in, however many years ago it was, I thought this space was going to fucking take off. I was like, no more leads. Like, it's a again, maybe it's my focus. It's my background on call centers and sales floors, but I was like, it's a premium product. It's an inbound call or whatever. It's a fucking live body on the phone. They're not chasing forms. They're not buying clicks. They're not like, I really thought this space would be so much more mature than it is. And I'm shocked that it's not. And I don't have a good reason for that, other than like, you know, I think you get told, like, yeah, you can't get someone on the phone off of a fucking Snapchat ad or something like this. And then you do. And like, for whatever reason, it's not a major focus by a lot of performance marketers. And I think that's why there's such a major opportunity. And again, with that thought process, again, like, it's a superior product than a click, than a form, in my opinion. I'll argue with anyone to the moon. By sales process standard, as far as like, you've got a fucking live body on the phone that you can sell. I don't know how you can get better than that unless you've got them in your fucking kitchen selling at this point. So it's anyway.
Yeah. Let's talk insurance a little bit, man. We're coming up on Q4. It's by far the finale of all things insurance, not just for the open enrollment and annual enrollment periods for Medicare and health insurance, but also a lot of P&C agents are trying to hit their nut for year end, like get all those numbers in for bonuses. So we see auto and homeowner insurance requests pop up before they dip back down big time in January, because all the organic traffic is there for these big brands. What's working for you in Medicare right now? Are you still doing a lot of the form fills to drip campaigns or call only, or like what's making it work for you?
Yeah, it's all inbound calls is our major focus. And again, getting back to that superior product, even that first campaign, there's flaws to that, right? Like, it's not as good as someone actually picking up the phone and making the call. So I think, you know, to answer your question, what's working is being highly relevant to the times. So that's not duping people. So talking about the facts about how much a hospital visit costs someone without insurance, or without the right type of insurance, or whatever that is, that's a fact. And that plays into the time right now, because there's fear around going to the hospital, because if they get COVID. Yeah. That's not saying that, you know, get this or you're going to get COVID, or whatever it is. It's like, it's a fact, and I'm playing into it. And I've got someone in a hospital bed talking about how much money they spent out of pocket because they didn't have the right type of coverage or insurance, and how they wish they made the call. Like, that's a very powerful thing for someone who's just scrolling on Facebook or wherever they're at right now, or watching a YouTube video, to see and be like, holy shit, that's me. They're foreshadowing, you know. Before, I didn't really take it that seriously. I thought Medicare covered all my shit, blah, 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 or whatever it is, or it's private health insurance, even, whatever. It's like, you know, I'm 1099. I was fucking just trampling along, or I just lost my job, and I said, you know, fuck it, I'll figure it out. But God, I didn't even realize the peace of mind I'm losing thinking about my kids going to the doctor. I can't even, my son the other day had the flu. I think maybe it was COVID, and I was scared to take him to the doctor because I didn't know how much it was going to fucking cost. And I was afraid that I was choosing money over my baby's life. Like, whoa, that's much different than most people are marketing right now. It's very emotional and it's very real, and it's very okay to market that way. I think it's not aggressive. It's facts, and it's putting yourself in the shoes of the consumer. So going from there to an educational article that really gives them the option to actually make the phone call right there. So here's the number to call to learn about your options, blah, 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 and educating them on what exactly are they going to talk about when they're on the call. What does the process of the call look like? So we listen to our callers and hear, what's the first question they ask them? We prime them on that. We say, hey, hold times could be 2 to 3 minutes. Like I'm priming people on what's next when I'm looking at it as a full sales cycle. And I think that's the magic juice. One is putting yourself in the shoes of the consumer. One. Two is priming them for what's next. And I think consumers appreciate that more. And I think it makes it a more seamless path and a higher quality person coming through. So I know I could drive infinitely more calls if I didn't do the last two, if I didn't prime them very well, and if I didn't do that. But I'm driving shit. I'm putting more water into a leaky bucket versus, again, everybody who calls in, there's no confusion. They're not like, what is this? What's going on? This is a customer service call. None of that comes through because they're so pre-qualified at this point before they pick up the phone. I've made sure only the 10 out of 10 hots are calling in, but I can charge a lot more than most people driving those types of calls because I've got 10 out of 10 hots. And I go, what's your CPA? Oh my God, I'm driving a sub 200 CPA when you can afford a 450. I'm fucking cracked to these people. I'm cracked. I can go demand whatever I want versus, and their close rates are, 20% or whatever it is. Like I've become crack cocaine. And I like doing that. And then I can go back but it does take that long-term look, right? Like it started off like I had to lose money because I did my best to convince them that I knew what the fuck I was doing and that I was good and stuff like that. But I got stuck in the same box everybody else did. So I had to eat shit until a week went by, 100 call 150. So what's your CPA? And I'm knocking every day and I'm asking. Most people don't do that. They don't want to ask what the CPA is because they're afraid they're going to get shut off because they know they're shoving shit through. I'm asking every day, can you send me daily numbers of my CPA? Send me daily numbers, please, motherfucker. And they're sending it, and I'm go, dude, you got to pay me more. I'm running out of loss. Or I got to shut this off. And very quickly they go, this is good shit. I got to pay you more, or you're gonna shut me off. And it's a very easy conversation and decision for them type of thing. So anyway, a high 10,000 foot level focus is driving a really superior caller or customer, not just shoving shit, and making sure the other metrics fit that. Tactically, it's really understanding where the customer is and talking to them in their emotional, psychological terms of where they're sitting today. We might even call out, like, I was scrolling on Facebook, I saw blank, 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 like call out where that person actually is seeing and sitting right there. Might even show like an inception shit of them actually scrolling, seeing my fucking ad, but it's a camera watching them seeing my
Are you sitting in your car right now? Hit this ad.
Exactly. So that, and then, like I said, priming for what the hell's going to happen next. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Talk to me about, you mentioned unhappy clients, right? I think that's something that we all deal with in this industry. I guess that let's go to how we avoid that. Like quality assurance over at SiteFlood, what does that look like? You mentioned disposition reports. I'm a huge fan on it. I always tell our clients, like, if you really want the red carpet treatment, you're going to send me daily dispo reports. You're going to automate it to me. It's going to roll to me and then CC my affiliate managers and also our account managers, and we're going to send you back a dispo key as well. What does that look like over at SiteFlood?
Yeah, this is probably my favorite topic, actually, because this is what I do mostly now. So I haven't launched that in I don't even know how many years. I've got a great team that does that. I help with strategy, but this is actually my focus right now. So I love this question. I'm bluntly transparent. So back to to the point where you could come off as an asshole, and I'm not an asshole. I don't think. Maybe I am, but I make it. I've realized I'm the hot girl, and I don't say that to be a fucking prick. I'm the hot girl in the relationship. Geico needs more of me, and they need me to do a good job. So I can come in, and I use that analogy, the hot girl, where I think a lot of advertisers come in like they're the hot girl. They're not. And I'm not saying I get on the phone and go, yo, you're a piece of shit, I'm hot shit, fuck you. But I'll get on the phone like the dispos and say, hey, listen, Bill, if I don't have dispos, my guys can't optimize around shit. My goal, and what I've been saying this whole time, my goal, and I've used a lot of this already, my goal is to send you 5 calls and you enroll 1. And then you get addicted to my stuff. Also, Bill, I'm in this long term. I'm going to be doing this for 30 years. I'm going to find the right partners that know how to monetize best, that want to work as an actual partnership. I'm not a basement affiliate. I've got a large team. Even if I didn't have a large team, fuck that. You don't even have to say that. I'm looking at this long term. I'm trying to drive you the best customers possible. The more you can help me along that path, it aligns incentives. At the end of the day, I know you need to enroll a customer under blank. I need to make money. I need to be able to drive that customer under blank. Otherwise, neither of us work, right? So let's start there. What do I need? I've even gotten major clients to send me a list of their past clients so I can seed it as lookalike audiences. Like, how fucking nuts is that? I've gotten major brands to send me. I go, if you do it well, I go, I need you to download export your entire list of anyone who's ever enrolled with you. Fucking send it to me so I can load it up and I can target LALs around that. Like, I've gotten that done before, which is crazy, right? And it's like, but it's not, because if I've actually sold myself as a long-term partner, which is true, and I've told them I'm making investments on my end, which is true, to make sure we're all aligned, they should send me that. The only reason they wouldn't send me that is if they thought I was going to go rob it of them and go fucking ring up their client list, or they thought I was going to go fucking sell to their competitor. And by the way, I didn't sign any exclusivity on that. I just told them, I said, dude, if you really want this to work, that would be helpful. And it's just like conversations like that. Like, even, and you know, you talk about QA, like, I have a full-time guy that listens to our buyers' calls, and we're on a raw call model for most people, or a CPA deal. So they're not trying to catch someone slamming the fucking phones. And even that right there, coming in a raw call model, I'm in a different category as everyone else. I go, hey, listen, here's my problem. I've sent to shops before. I already know their problem. Their problem is they've gotten bullshit that comes through, and then they pay for shit. I tell them straight up, I go, hey, here's my problem. I got people that want to slam the phones. Bill, you don't sound like you're like that, but they come in, they slam the phones, turns my guys off. We never work with them again. My investors will never sign off on working with that person again. We drive 5,000 calls a day, and you know, it's not worth the investment on my end or time or resources if you're not gonna actually handle these callers well. Like, you know, even me just coming in and demanding a raw call, I'm in a different category as everyone else. They're like, I better handle every single call. Now think about incentives aligned. Now every call that comes in, they go hit my system, they hung up, chase them. You got to chase them down. You paid for it, chase them down. It's a totally different than them being lazy and them being, it's got to be on a 2-minute buffer, and I'm only going to pay this, and I'm not going to give you any dispos because it takes me 2 minutes to download. It's like, then this isn't going to work, and you're not the right partner for me. And coming at that, all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, you know, the minute it's like, you know, you take it away from someone, the minute you take it away, they're like, oh shit, okay, you know. And again, I say all this, I'm being aggressive and blunt right now, and I do it much more eloquently. But the fact remains, it's like coming in and having that blunt conversation of aligning incentives is the QA. So we're listening, how are they handling calls, and we're saying, hey, you need to answer these generically. You can't answer it as the brand name because there's brand confusion. What other partners telling them that? Or listen, hey, Jody is a killer. Can I get more of Jody? They're like, I'll see if we can route more to Jody. Sarah is horrible. Can you pull her off my shit? She's fucking everything up, and my guys are about to turn off the campaigns, and they're fucking going home and crying to their wife that Sarah's the worst sales rep ever. Fucking, can you fire her right now? Like, those are the conversations. Like, obviously, again, I'm being funny and aggressive, but that's what most publishers who run a Facebook ad, that's all they think they are. They think they run a Facebook ad, they think they drive calls, and they're a victim to whatever it is. Okay, these guys said 35 at this. Like, you're a business, and looking at yourself as a business and a brand and a partnership with anyone you work with is a much different mindset, and you communicate much differently. And I believe you're going to see a response much differently from networks, from end buyers than normal, because the space is very distant right now. It's the advertisers making demands what they need, and then we're little bottom feeders trying to fucking figure it out, or fuck us. Where what? The hardest part in business is driving a customer. Last time I checked, are the biggest value. That's what we do. Why are we not the ones making the demands down to advertisers, saying this is what I need to do my job well so that I can make you happy too? Not because I'm a dick, not because I want to get a steak dinner, but to do my job well. These are my demands, and it's going to help you too, because you're going to hit what you need, which is really CPA, this. So let's remove all the bullshit. Let's focus on what we need to focus on. I need to make money. You need to make money. Below what levels? Let's do it. So again, I know I packed a ton in there, and a lot of it was talking fast and loud and all this, but That's really the QA system, is it's having a partner conversation with people, not as another affiliate. I hate that term. I don't even come in as an affiliate. In fact, I get on the phone and I go, I fucking hate affiliates. I bet you do too. I'm not an affiliate. I am an affiliate. Like, I'm not an affiliate. And you're like, yeah, you don't. I know you're not. I am. It's just the stigma around the term.
Yeah, that was but reframing conversations. That was like one of the best things I ever learned in sales when I was working in New York City for a commodities brokerage. Like, this isn't a sales call; it's a courtesy call. Oh, well, in that case, then.
100%.
Wrapping up here, man, and thanks so much for spending time. I kind of want to give our audience like a way to move. Obviously, you have a ton of video out there to watch. I'm not even done watching your video yet. Influencers for not just the newer guys, but maybe guys that have been in affiliate marketing for a while. Who should we be watching? Who's doing something fresh besides you?
Yeah, there's any CPA buyer, honestly, not even affiliates, to be honest. I think affiliates, it's until that it opens up and people have better conversations and talk. Like, some of the best people, like I have my buddy Nick Shackelford. He runs an agency. He's not an affiliate. He doesn't know any of this stuff. He doesn't understand how the space works, but he's a CPA media buyer. So even a brand that is trying to drive sales below a certain amount, like, those are the best people to watch from, in my opinion, from a media buying trend perspective, things like that, I think is really important. I think also, and it's tough without conferences right now, but finding some people going through your journey that are actually like you gel with and are real. And even if they're not doing big numbers, dude, like, sometimes it's better. Like, I joked, I haven't launched an ad in years. Like, I'm actually the worst person to ask about fucking ads. I'm good on strategy, but if you were like, do you do this optimization versus this? I'd be like, I don't know, dude, to be honest. I don't want to bullshit you. So it's actually better sometimes to not even like follow me or think about me. I'm good on the top level now, but I've got 30 people working for me now. If it's just you in your basement, it might be better to find fucking 2 other guys that are just you in your basement, and you do a monthly fucking call together and you say, what's working, what's not, what buyers are good, and finding just a few. And I've got a few buddies like that, and I'll remain them anonymous for their own sake, because they didn't give me permission to put them out there. But like, we'll talk. I'm talking to one tonight. I've got a few. We talk every few days. And he goes, here's my main buyers in this category. Fucking hands it to me. Here's what they're paying me. Here's my contacts. Here you go. And I'm like, bro, I'm going to have one of my guys spend time with you, and they're going to redo your pixel so that it fucking does it. And it's like, we compete. We're actually in the same spaces. But we know we don't, because we know they're big enough, and we know that we're looking at this long term and in growth. I think aligning yourself and finding yourself with people like that, even if they're fucking doing 5 calls a day, 10 calls a day, it's going to be valuable where you're at, and it's going to be valuable, and you're going to attract and see more people. So short answer, other people that have a similar mindset as that long-term growth mindset, that are at similar levels of you, it's probably even more valuable than listening to someone like myself. And then really looking at other CPA buyers or other trends, like other competitive spaces that you're not even in. Like, even just Google search DUI lawyers, like, that's a very competitive keyword. Like, I look at what they're doing on their landing pages, and I'm like, oh, I can apply that over to my auto insurance shit. That's interesting. They're doing the scarcity thing. They're doing this. Like, and that's not my space. It's seemingly so unrelated, but it's not, because they have to be efficient with their clicks because they're so expensive. So doing shit like that, I think is very helpful in your growth, moving you from whatever level you're at to the next stage.
Blogs, forums, emails, courses, man, like anything else for affiliates to watch. I know I'm big on Stack Marketer. I love getting that daily email every morning.
I mean,
forum, like
this shit you guys are doing is great. And again, maybe this is my what's the word I'm looking for here? Not so optimistic voice, but I think he who teaches can't do. Like someone who's put out a course probably doesn't know what the fuck they're doing anymore. And I don't mean that to everybody, and that's not true for everybody. I just generically think that, if I'm not selling a course ever, because I'm too busy making money doing what I'm doing. And I'm not saying that to be a dick again too. Point of me saying that is like being a student of the game, outside of looking for the magic pill of the guy to give you the magic answer, is better. Read psychology books. Like I said, study other advertisers on what they're doing. Get support groups of other people in your system that are really information sourcing in a lot of ways. Like the DUI example I gave you, like, they've got fucking time scarcity things on there that, like, they sourced from some other thing and put it together, and I got the fucking end result. Like, clearly they're spending money as LA DUI lawyer. Like, it's working, it's converting. So I've really kind of I've tried to funnel down my information sources. But I mean, there's what you guys are doing. Ringbuzz doing a great job educating people in the space to help them. Those are all phenomenal places to start talking to smart people like yourself, like even hitting yourself up or me or whoever and just being like, hey, I got a quick question for you. Like, I do that all day long with people that are in other, like when I first got in the insurance spaces, I was hitting everybody up in that space. I'm like, hey, can I pick your brain? I'll pay you for it. Yeah, most people do it for free. I'll fucking talk to anybody for free, help you out in any way I can. But like with specific questions, those are good places for me. And, you know, I'm sure other people have better answers as far as like, you know, that email that you just said, like, that's probably a great place that I'm not even aware of. So that's how I funneled down my information. Otherwise, I feel like I'm reading for 6 hours a day versus doing. So I feel like I've either ineffectively or effectively, you know, funneled down where I'm getting my information sources from. But really being a student of marketing, which is at the end of the day is understanding the product in its fullest, understanding at all sides of the table in a negotiation who wants what's looking for what, and then the psychology of the individual that's interested in what the fuck you're selling. And all of a sudden targeting becomes easy, strategies, angles become easy, copywriting becomes a lot easier because you're like, I understand where this person's sitting as they're viewing my ad potentially.
Awesome, man. Dude, super informative. It's Friday. You're in the car. Go enjoy your weekend. Thank you very much for being on the show, man. I had been eyeing you up for a while to get you on, and it was awesome how I was able to connect easily. And you were like, "Yeah, sure, let's run it. Let's do it." And, you know, just like pull over in the car and shoot the show and shoot the shit, man. So thank you very much. And if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, do you have an admin assistant or someone that they should reach out to just to see?
Feel free. Feel free to. I'm super active on Instagram. I get a couple DMs a day. It takes me, you know, a couple days, but I respond to everybody. I just send a voice memo back in some way at one point or another. So
Cool.
super active. It's just my first and last name. You can Google search me, find me some fucking way too. And like I said, I respond to everybody at some point or another. It might take me a few days, but either I know the answer. I point you in the right direction, the best of my abilities. So I don't know everything, but if I can, you know, try to.
Right on, man. Well, thank you for the honesty. Thank you for your time, and that's gonna be a wrap.
Thanks.
Later. Boom.